Covey's 7 habits are composed of the primary principles of character upon which happiness and success are based. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People puts forward a principle-centered approach to both personal and interpersonal effectiveness. Rather than focusing on altering the outward manifestations of your behavior and attitudes, it aims to adapt your inner core, character, and motives. The 7 habits in this book will help you move from a state of dependence to independence, and finally to interdependence. While society and most of the self-help books on the market champion independence as the highest achievement, Covey argues that it's interdependence that yields the greatest results. Interdependence is a more mature, advanced concept. It precludes the knowledge that you are an independent being, but that working with others will produce greater results than working on your own. To attain this level of interdependence, you must cultivate each of the 7 habits laid out in the book. The 7 habits are as follows. Be proactive. Begin with the end in mind. Put first things first. Think win/win. Seek to understand first, before making yourself understood. Learn to synergize. Sharpen the saw. Habit 1. Be proactive. The first and most fundamental habit of an effective person is to be proactive. More than just taking the initiative, being proactive means taking responsibility for your life. Consequently, you don't blame your behavior on external factors such as circumstances, but own it as part of a conscious choice based on your values. Where reactive people are driven by feelings, proactive people are driven by values. While external factors have the ability to cause pain, your inner character doesn't need to be damaged. What matters most is how you respond to these experiences. Proactive individuals focus their efforts on the things they can change, whereas reactive people focus their efforts on the areas of their lives in which they have no control. They amass negative energy by blaming external factors for their feelings of victimization. This, in turn, empowers other forces to perpetually control them. Habit 2. Begin with the end in mind. To better understand this habit, Covey invites you to imagine your funeral. He asks you to think how you would like your loved ones to remember you, what you would like them to acknowledge as your achievements, and to consider what a difference you made in their lives. Engaging in this thought experiment helps you identify some of your key values that should underpin your behavior. Accordingly, each day of your life should contribute to the vision you have for your life as a whole. Knowing what is important to you means you can live your life in service of what matters most. Habit 2 involves identifying old scripts that are taking you away from what matters most, and writing new ones that are congruent with your deepest values. This means that, when challenges arise, you can meet them proactively and with integrity, as your values are clear. Covey states that the most effective way to begin with the end in mind is to create a personal mission statement. It should focus on the following. What you want to be, character, what you want to do, contributions and achievements, the values upon which both of these things are based. Habit 3. Put first things first. To begin this chapter, Covey asks you to answer the following questions. What one thing could you do regularly, that you aren't currently doing, that would improve your personal life? Similarly, what one thing could you do to improve your business or professional life? Whereas Habit 1 encourages you to realize you are in charge of your own life, and Habit 2 is based on the ability to visualize and to identify your key values, Habit 3 is the implementation of these 2 habits. It focuses on the practice of effective self-management through independent will. By asking yourself the above questions, you become aware that you have the power to significantly change your life in the present. Thus, having an independent will means you are capable of making decisions and acting on them. How frequently you use your independent will is dependent on your integrity. Your integrity is synonymous with how much you value yourself and how well you keep your commitments. Habit 3 concerns itself with prioritizing these commitments and putting the most important things first. This means cultivating the ability to say no to things that don't match your guiding principles. To manage your time effectively in accordance with Habit 3, your actions must adhere to the following. They must be principle-centered. They must be conscience-directed, meaning that they give you the opportunity to organize your life in accordance with your core values. They define your key mission, which includes your values and long-term goals. They give balance to your life. They are organized weekly, with daily adaptations as needed. Self-awareness, imagination, conscience, independent will. Character, this is the foundation upon which a win-win mentality is created, and it means acting with integrity, maturity, and an abundance mentality, i.e., there is plenty of everything for everyone. One person's success doesn't threaten your success. Relationships, trust is essential to achieving win-win agreements. You must nourish your relationships to maintain a high level of trust. Agreements, this means that the parties involved must agree on the desired results, guidelines, resources, accountability, and the consequences. Win-win performance agreements and supportive systems, creating a standardized, agreed-upon set of desired results to measure performance within a system that can support a win-win mindset. Processes, all processes must allow for win-win solutions to arise. Habit 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. If you want to improve your interpersonal relations, Covey argues that you must endeavor to understand a situation before attempting to make yourself understood. The ability to communicate clearly is essential for your overall effectiveness, as it's the most important skill you can train. While you spend years learning to read, write, and speak, Covey states that little focus is given to training the skill of listening. If your principles are solid, you'll naturally want to engage and listen to people without making them feel manipulated. Consequently, it's through your character that you transmit and communicate what type of a person you are. Through it, people will come to instinctively trust and open up to you. While most people listen with the intent of replying, the proficient listener will listen with the intent to understand. This is known as the skill of empathic listening. An empathic listener can get into the frame of reference of the person speaking. By doing so, they see the world as they do and feel things the way they feel. Empathic listening, therefore, allows you to get a clearer picture of reality. When you begin to listen to people with the intent of understanding them, you'll be astounded at how quickly they will open up. Habit 6. Synergize. When synergy is operating at its fullest, it incorporates the desire to reach win-win agreements with empathic communication. It's the essence of principle-centered leadership. It unifies and unleashes great power from people, as it's based on the tenet that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. The real challenge is to apply principles of synergetic creative cooperation into your social interactions. Covey argues that such instances of synergetic interpersonal group collaboration are often neglected but should be part of your daily life. Habit 7. Sharpen the saw. This seventh habit is all about enhancing yourself through the 4 dimensions of renewal: physical, exercise, nutrition, and stress management. This means caring for your physical body, eating right, getting enough sleep, and exercising regularly. Social/emotional, service, empathy, synergy, and intrinsic security. This provides you with a feeling of security and meaning. Spiritual, value clarification and commitment, study, and meditation. In focusing on this area of your life, you get closer to your center and your inner value system. Mental, reading, visualizing, planning, and writing. To continually educate yourself means expanding your mind. This is essential for effectiveness. To sharpen the saw means to express and exercise all 4 of these motivations regularly and consistently. This is the most important investment you can make in your life, as you are the instrument of your performance. It's essential to tend to each area with balance, as to overindulge in one area means to neglect another. Effective habits. Private victories precede public victories. True effectiveness is a function of 2 things: what has produced the golden eggs and the producing asset or capacity to produce the goose. Effectiveness lies in the balance, what Stephen calls the PPC balance. P stands for production of desired results, the golden eggs. PC stands for production capability, the ability or asset that produces the golden eggs. I know of no more encouraging fact than the unquestionable ability of man to elevate his life by conscious endeavor. Henry David Thoreau. We are not our feelings. We are not our moods. We are not even our thoughts. The very fact that we can think about these things separates us from them and from the animal world. There are 3 social maps, 3 theories of determinism widely accepted, independently or in combination, to explain the nature of man. Genetic determinism. This basically says your grandparents did it to you. That's why you have such a temper. Psychic determinism. This basically says your parents did it to you. Environmental determinism. This basically says your boss is doing it to you or your spouse, or that bratty teenager, or your economic situation, or national policies. Someone or something in your environment is responsible for your situation. Between what happens to you, or the stimulus, and your response to it is your freedom or power to choose that response. Between stimulus and response, man has the freedom to choose. Proactive people can carry their own weather with them. Whether it rains or shines makes no difference to them. They are value-driven, and if their value is to produce good quality work, it isn't a function of whether the weather is conducive to it or not. The ability to subordinate an impulse to a value is the essence of the proactive person. Reactive people are driven by feelings, by circumstances, by conditions, by their environment. Proactive people are driven by values, carefully thought about, selected and internalized values. Proactive people are still influenced by external stimuli, whether physical, social, or psychological. But their response to the stimuli, conscious or unconscious, is a value-based choice or response. It's not what happens to us, but our response to what happens to us that hurts us. Viktor Frankl suggests that there are 3 central values in life: the experiential, or that which happens to us; the creative, or that which we bring into existence; the attitudinal, or our response in difficult circumstances such as terminal illness. What matters most is how we respond to what we experience in life. Proactive people focus their efforts in the circle of influence. They work on the things they can do something about. The nature of their energy is positive, enlarging and magnifying, causing their circle of influence to increase. The problems we face fall in one of 3 areas. Direct control. Problems involving our own behavior. Indirect control. Problems involving other people's behavior. No control. Problems we can do nothing about, such as our past or situational realities. Begin with the end in mind is based on the principle that all things are created twice. There's a mental or first creation, and a physical or second creation, to all things. And quote. Management is doing things right, leadership is doing the right things. Management is efficiency in climbing the ladder of success. Leadership determines whether the ladder is leaning against the right wall. The two additional unique human endowments that enable us to expand our proactivity and to exercise personal leadership in our lives are imagination and conscience. Writing or reviewing a mission statement changes you because it forces you to think through your priorities deeply, carefully, and to align your behavior with your beliefs. As you do, other people begin to sense that you're not being driven by everything that happens to you. You have a sense of mission about what you're trying to do and you are excited about. A good affirmation has 5 basic ingredients. It's personal. It's positive. It's present tense. It's visual. It's emotional. An example of an affirmation. It is deeply satisfying, emotional, that I, personal, respond, present tense, with wisdom, love, firmness, and self-control, positive, when my children misbehave. The challenge is not to manage time, but to manage ourselves. You simply can't think efficiency with people. You think effectiveness with people and efficiency with things.